So I think anyone could kind of just take a step back and look at where they're at. Okay, well, just because this is what I was born into. And by the way, it doesn't have to be a shit situation. You see that Wes Watson guy's always talking about being in jail and being like all this. You don't have to come from this shit. You know what I mean?
No.
It just,
no.
But like I was a high school teacher as a dad. I leveled up this way, just like he leveled up with his dad that loved him too, was a carpenter. Let's go. All right, I'm kind of pumped up about today's episode. We talk about the time and the world we live in, and social media. Gosh, if it hasn't changed the world, you must be living in a cave, because you make new relationships, you make new friends. And Adam Jablin, our guest today, was nice enough to have me on his show, his podcast recently, and we had been kind of messing around with each other on social media for a while. I'm not even sure exactly how we came across paths. I'm like, oh shit, a guy with a blue check mark and 6 figures of followers is liking my shit. I love this guy. I better like his stuff back. And anyway, I'm kind of kidding, but not really. Adam's messaging is different than mine, and what he talks about is very different than mine. And I haven't even told him, but I'm going to tell him today how much I appreciate some of the things he talks about. Not really just from a personal standpoint, but from things I've seen my friends go through. Adam's big on transformational spiritual coaching, as well as being a recovery mentor. And you talk a lot about what I do, and I talk about walking the walk, right? And I talk about like, okay, these gurus out here trying to sell you a business class on how to become rich when they're not rich themselves, or they became rich selling a business class on how to become rich. And, I got to think, and I'm going to ask Adam about this, of people that have, put together these recovery programs and people that have put together programs to beat addiction. Is it doctors? Is it scientists that are watching it from afar? Are they more effective, or is the person that actually lived it and got himself out of that, is he more effective? And it's one of the things I want to talk to Adam about today. And really also want to just talk to Adam about, how he built a business around this. It's not easy to do. Sometimes we turn on social media and we just assume, well, voila, all these people are following you. Voila, I'm going to be a public speaker. And, we don't necessarily see the grind that happens beforehand. And I guess it's true with anything, but especially in this category, in my opinion. So without further ado, I'll give a little introduction here. Adam Jablin is a best-selling author, inspirational keynote speaker, transformational spiritual life coach, and recovery mentor. I like that terminology, Adam, recovery mentor. In 2006, Adam got clean and sober. You know what? I'm just going to pause there. All right. One of the things, Adam, I'm going to ask you about is like, when do you get to start throwing the date around? It's like, oh, I've been clean and sober and I want to be your coach. Since when? Since late 2022? Okay, I don't know if I'm going to use you as a coach there, buddy. He unleashed many gifts he had inside by becoming clean and sober that he wasn't able to see quite as clearly prior to that. And he inspires and teaches those fighting fears, alcoholism, addictions to unleash their inner hero. He's been featured on Fox, CNBC, TNT, BET, CNN, ABC, NBC, and CBS, and on 2000% Raised now. Adam, I want to see that on your bio in the future. He also offers a free online program called The Hero 7. Adam Jablin, welcome to 2000% Raised.
John, thanks for having me. If it's okay, it doesn't annoy the audience.
Yeah.
A little bro love real fast. Bro, I sincerely. So, it's like you said, it's a new world, and you meet these new friendships and acquaintances and collaborations on media. And sometimes you really don't know what you're going to get, but dude, there's something about the way you make me feel, right? Your message, it's your tone, it's who you are. You make me feel like I'm with a brother, and you got that, and I hope you think it as a compliment,
Mhm.
bro, but it's almost like if you took Vince Vaughn, but at the same time, Al Pacino's, Godfather, and you put him in right. It's like a cold, calculated assassin
Yeah.
with the fucking sense of humor that will make anybody laugh. And you put those two things together. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You put
Well,
Mike Corleone and the Little Wedding Crashers together. But you got my brother.
Well, I've gotten the Vince Vaughn comments many times over the years, and my first question always was like, "All right, are we talking about how Vince Vaughn looks in Swingers, or how,
Swingers,
or
Swingers.
okay, not the breakup Vince Vaughn, like because he was doing a boat tour company or bus tour company, kind of overweight, balding, but Jennifer
Not the
Aniston,
45 hot dogs.
hey,
Not the 45 hot dogs in Chicago, but I mean the LA young,
yeah,
Vegas baby, Vince Vaughn. But I listen, if anyone really pays attention to your message and who you are somebody that walks the walk, talks the talk. And I look, the way I grew up, and we can always talk about this, but in Jersey, a Michael Corleone is a compliment. It's
I love it.
it's not a,
Yep.
I mean, we're not talking about, it's a compliment about how you're calculated and you think, you speak, and the way you carry yourself. And I just, I want to just give you a little love real fast because I really feel that way, dude. I'm telling you, I'm one of those guys that watches your content over and over and over, and I laugh my ass off.
Well, dude, I see you comment here and there, and it's always so funny because you never know who's, as you know, and for anybody else out there, getting comments on Instagram is like freaking finding needles in haystacks. Most people don't leave comments, just generally speaking, and even when there is a lot of comments, it's typically a very small number in relationship to the actual view count. So I notice the
Yeah.
comments. I always do, and I'll always skim them,
Well,
unless you get one that goes like viral, and then there's too many to keep up with. But when you have those in between ones, and I'll notice you commenting at them, and I do appreciate that. And the reason I appreciate it is because what I'm out there talking about is different than your messaging, and here, and kind of the same. We could probably draw up a shitload of similarities actually, but it's different delivery, different everything. And I got a guy like you that's been successful out there on the internet, appreciating it, not only appreciating it with a DM, hey, this was awesome, because I'll get a lot of people forward me out my own reels and like say 2 paragraphs that are pretty freaking cool, and I go, dude, why don't you put that in the comments, bro? But anyway, I appreciate it no matter how it comes. Adam, will give me that fire sign and thumbs up every once in a while. I appreciate that, buddy.
oh, I love it. And I'm telling you, I watch. I could quote him to you. I'll watch sometimes 6, 7, 8 times in a row because you just think you make me laugh, but the delivery, but the message is on point,
Yeah,
and that's what I want to get back to.
yeah,
I think one of your gifts, John, is
Mhm.
how you make people feel.
Right. Well,
It's a gift of yours, bro.
and gosh, I got to tell you, man, it just happened these last 2 months. It was right around March, and I actually just looked at my business, my insights. You could see when your follower accounts what they were for the last 6 months, and it hockey sticked from about 50,000 followers end of March to a little over 100,000 now end of May. And no bullshit, I didn't buy any followers. I didn't do any fucking
Yeah.
bullshit. And like it did it, and I looked back, it's right when I did this freaking reel where I went nuts telling people that are in highly paid sales jobs that they ain't shit and need to open their eyes because it's a bribe by corporate America. And I gotta tell you, I've thought that shit to myself forever. I guess that's the only time I said it out loud and had a great delivery from the Caribbean in a jacuzzi. Yeah, and it hit. So
So good.
yeah.
There's a lot. I mean, we could, maybe we'll even do another podcast one day about the things that I felt from your message. But there's you add that humor
hmm
with a real message.
Yeah.
Like it's like wake the fuck up, but I'm not. There's a. I'm gonna make you laugh at yourself.
Yeah.
I'm gonna make you laugh. Wake the fuck up.
Yeah, I appreciate that. It's funny, dude. Just the fact that we're just talking about swingers. So since that one video went viral, I'll get the craziest comments now, and it's the people that are just scrolling that happen to stumble across it and don't look at the rest of my shit. They're like, dude, you're a freaking pompous psycho, or some people are writing, this is what steroids and cocaine look like. You know. um,
Hey,
so
hey.
yeah, exactly. So, well, I'm not on either, so I guess that's a compliment. I don't know
Yeah.
about the steroids part. I don't know about the anyway. The one I've been getting lately, though, we were just talking about Swingers. I've always thought this about myself. Jon Favreau's character in Swingers. All right, my jawline. I've always thought me and him have the same jawline and look alike, and no one's ever agreed with me. No one else has ever saw it or ever seen it like I did. And lately, on the viral videos, I've had a couple comments going, you know, this is a Jon Favreau on coke or something like that. And
Really?
yeah, and they don't understand that they're. I take that as a compliment. I've always thought I looked like him.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So
Absolutely. Well, I mean, that's a peak Jon Favreau there.
yeah,
That's the,
exactly.
that's
Yeah.
the chisel Jon Favreau. But dude, personality,
Yeah. Yeah.
Vaughn,
Well,
all the
dude, yeah, well, for sure. And I always think of Jon Favreau in Sideways, and he's kind of like a dork in it. And I'm like, all right, I don't want to be that guy, you know.
no. Dude, you own the Vaughn.
Well, so you're a recovery mentor, and now we've brought up cocaine, we've brought up alcohol, we've brought up Napa Valley movies. Now we're talking Vegas. You know, I'm glad all your followers are listening. They're like, okay.
Well, I mean, at least I've earned my seat here, right? I mean, it's not like I had one glass of Chardonnay and it was like, oh, I need 12 steps of recovery. You know what I mean? I took this thing as far as I could take it.
Freaking hilarious. Well, hey man, why don't we start there, bro? You know, it's kind of how I, you know, as I read your bio and as we talked offline here, you know, there's obviously more to your messaging, I guess, that I originally thought out of. But I do want to focus on the recovery piece.
Sure.
I've had conversations. I think he's a friend of yours, Mike Diamond. Do you know Mike Diamond?
Oh,
Yeah, great dude. And you know, I think just by being in these circles of seeing people that are on podcasts, and there's this whole vertical with recovery. You know what I mean? There's this, you know, you got the commercial real estate guys, you got the crypto guys. There's this whole little crew that are talking about recovery. And you know, Adam, could you talk to us a little bit about that, man? You know, you said you got clean and sober in 2006. You know, for us that have not experienced, you know, these issues in our life, you know, does that mean there hasn't been a relapse since then, or you know, how do you count those years?
Yeah. Well, first off, dude, I'm really grateful of all the names you brought up. You brought Mike Diamond. He's the real deal. Mike is the real deal. He is a dose of positivity.
Yes,
he truly is.
Yep.
And yeah, you know, look, one day at a time, John, I have not ever gone back to alcohol and drugs. Now, behavior wise and emotionally, I've had what some people could call relapses, you know, either revisiting past trauma or lying to my ex-wife saying I took the garbage out when I didn't take the garbage out,
Okay.
or even substitutional stuff, meaning the way I needed a meeting or the way I needed a workout, as in the me syndrome, was the way I was. I had to have my Patron. I had to have my ice cold, whatever. Right. So I've had behavioral, and I think that's part of the journey. But, you know, I've been blessed that one day at a time, sincerely, bro, one day at a time, I got placed in what we would call neutrality. You know, it's just neutral. And it doesn't mean I don't have the thoughts. It doesn't mean it doesn't come, but I don't obsess about it.
Got it.
You know, I don't sit there and obsess. Oh, right. And then once, John, the difference between, let's say, you and I is after the obsession, the craving.
Yeah.
So if you and I went out, even if you were a heavy drinker, but if you and I went out and we had a toast, you know, I would have a drink. Well, let's use you first. You'd have a drink, and it goes down into your, you know, stomach, pancreas, your kidneys, your liver. Your liver breaks it down to acetones, sends it up to the signals, the acetones and signals up to your brain, and your brain starts telling you either things like maybe like, this is fun, or hey, if I have too much of this, I'm going to get a little fucking crazy, or you know what I mean? Like, so, but when I do it, it goes into my stomach, through my pancreas, liver, you know, sends the acetones up to my brain, and literally, bro, it goes, I need more. I'm in control like this. I drive better like this.
Oh,
And it's craving that's very difficult to describe.
and is that just you, or is that most addicts?
I would say that's all of us
Okay.
out
Like
as an
like so
addict.
so 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 any addict listening to you right now probably understood that, follow that to a T right there. That they don't it doesn't go a different way for them.
No, I mean, as a matter of fact, it probably even bothers them when they see maybe mom feel to take a Xanax or an OxyContin, and how come it makes her feel itchy and she doesn't want more. But the second they take a Percocet or OxyContin, they're already thinking, how can I get a prescription for 200 more? What is the two different thought process? Well, it chemically didn't hit your mom the same way. It did.
Got it.
You know,
Mm.
it didn't change her, it didn't change her the way it changed you. You went to this obsession and you need more. And she went to, I don't like the way this feels. I feel loopy. I don't like the itchy. It's, it's, there's a physical component, a mental component, and a spirit.
Yeah. Yeah. And when does that happen for a person, Adam? When I just remember people. One of the things I'm a drinker. I have been a drinker, and I drink all the damn time. But I've never been the one where it's like I need a drink. Like there's people like, oh, I had a rough day. Let me go home and have a drink. Don't get me wrong. I've had rough weeks and go out and let loose and party a little bit. But I've never been the type that let me get this drink in me to calm me. And I know a lot of people that do it. I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I probably drink more often than most of them. And Friday afternoon after work or something like that, they use the word need. I need a drink, and I always kind of just, all right, I guess I'm okay, because I've never felt like the word need makes sense there, where other people use it pretty lavishly. You know what I mean?
You're enjoying.
Right. One of the things that kind of strikes me interesting is the overuse of the word addiction. And I just always wonder if it offends people that were really like physically addicted. You know what I mean? Like you have a physical or
I think if you're offended, you may be a little hypersensitive. So
okay.
maybe we just enter recovery.
Okay.
You're so sensitive and everything's so on point and everything's so in tune. But I think once you get comfortable in your own skin
Yep.
and you understand who you are, and you realize the other person they're not belittling what you went through. Maybe they're trying to say they're obsessed. Maybe they're trying to say, I have a really bad habit. Maybe they're trying to say, I haven't been able to stop in 20 days.
Yep.
But to be sensitive to it, that shows a lack of empathy.
Got it. Yeah, I gave Bradley. I don't know if you follow Bradley at all. Do you?
I love
Yeah.
Bradley. Yeah.
So I think my material kind of resonates with me and him. Kind of are similar, right?
100%.
But I did a remix on a reel because we're friends, and I was kind of fucking with him. And he did this reel about saying he got addicted to crack for 3 days, and he was in a crack house for 3 days. And I'm like, Brad, and then he never did it again. I go, that's a fucking bender. You went on a 3-day bender, Brad. You didn't get addicted. And he disagrees that, no, that's addicted. I go, man, I don't know. Because I needed it. Okay, then you just stop that. I don't know. I don't know where that line is.
But this is the most beautiful part about this, right? There's no winning or losing.
Right.
That's an argument that, thank God, both of you get to win, because Brad got to stop after 3 days.
Yep.
However, if it's a bender, if he felt addicted for 3 days, if he felt the compulsion, if he felt the obsession, you know what? Thank God Brad got relieved of it. Period.
Brother.
Period.
Yeah, dude. Listen, man. I've it's not my first rodeo. I've been around the block, dude, and I gotta tell you, man. Like there are people that will not stop when you have the access to it, and when especially something like cocaine, it's like, okay, when it's out, nobody has access to it, party's over, it gets expensive. All right, crack, like Brad was talking about, shit, like I've never lived in the ghetto. Like there's crack available on every freaking corner, I would imagine, and it's cheap. You're not going to run out of money. I mean, this is a big fucking problem, right?
Fucking A.
Yeah.
Fucking A.
Yeah.
But it's also, of course, let me agree and then just, add to the conversation. Of course it is. But so is fentanyl.
Mm.
And so is Xanax. And so is, right? It's really picking poison.
Yeah.
So to speak.
Yeah.
John, truth be told, at the end of the day, like, look, I've done heavy drugs and I've been addicted, but at the end of the day, alcohol is my master.
Okay. Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
I'm an alcoholic and an addict,
Mm.
no doubt about it.
Okay.
But and everybody's DNA and everybody's body chemistry is slightly different. Some people really get that with the foods. They really get it.
Got it.
You know, they've been able to do an 8-ball and stop, or they've been able to do 10 pills of ecstasy, but not have to do it the next weekend.
Got it.
Uh,
Yep.
but I'm a guy that all I could tell you is alcohol was my master.
Dude, it's remind. I'm not trying to make light of this, but one of my favorite movies is Leaving Las Vegas, which I'm sure you've seen. There's a scene,
Classic.
dude. There's a scene where Nicolas Cage has to sign a check to get some money out, and is shaking and sweating and can't sign the damn check. And he goes, "Sir, you got to sign it." And he walks across the street, does a couple of shots, comes back, and he goes, "Where do I sign?" Dippity-doo.
And bro, I tell you, he did his research.
Mhm.
John, that was he won best actor for a reason.
Yeah.
He did not phone that in. That's how it fucking
Bro,
feels.
that movie is so effing good. Anyone that has it's depressing as shit, but you don't feel like it's that you're in it. You're in it with them, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, you know what? I'm really grateful that you brought that up.
Mhm.
That's anybody ever really curious of what it feels like? Not his surrounding circumstances, right? Surrounding circumstances are the wife leaves, he decides, the money leaves, he decides he's going to everything and kill himself throughout. Great. Got it. But if you want to know what it actually starts like and looking like, that movie is a great depiction of what alcoholism feels like.
Dude, and then there's a moment in that movie where they show a blackout moment. Everything's going good, whatever, and then hey, you forget. I think they're at a craps table or a blackjack table, and he starts going freaking nuts, and his prostitute girlfriend ends up keeping him out of jail, but he just starts screaming and yelling at people because you have these mood swings, and it's like, okay, for us as the audience, wait a minute, reality check here. Things were going pretty good, and then boom, this freaking manhole you just walked into, right? And
Yeah.
yeah, and that you think that's a realistic depiction?
It's a realistic Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde thing. And then,
Mhm.
there are guys like myself, and I'm sure I could talk for Mike, right?
Mhm.
Where we start finding, okay, well, we don't like that. We don't like when that happens. So if you mix this white powder with the alcohol, you could stay awake longer and stay alert longer and dude, that goes to any sort of amphetamine.
Yeah.
It becomes, John, it becomes such a vicious cycle. And what I do like, remember when you asked me, do you get offended
Mhm.
with someone?
Right.
Think where we really relate
Mhm.
is that addiction and obsession to the mind, like
Mhm.
how you became John,
Mhm.
are they're first cousins,
Mhm.
right? They're not brothers, they're not twins.
Right.
But if you read Michael Jordan's book, his nightmare would be because he's so obsessive, right?
Yeah.
He's so Jordan's like, we all look at Jordan as Chicago. I don't even
Yeah.
tell you,
Oh, yeah.
right? But the obsession, like the obsessive to win, the obsession to, but he said his nightmare would be being an alcoholic because he understood the obsession of the mind, not being able to get out.
Yep.
So interesting how to become the success that you and I are, it does take a degree of that focus. It looks almost like an addiction. It does. It looks
Mm.
so singular focused. However, it and it can destroy relationships and it can make you a prick I understand that. However, that obsession of the mind to succeed is not an addiction.
I've had other people tell me that in a same exact thing in a slightly different way about cigarettes. I don't want to smoke a cigarette because I will stand there and smoke the whole freaking pack, and then later I'll come down and smoke the next pack. Well, how do you know you never smoked a freaking cigarette? And by the way, it feels so antiquated. Like we're so old now. Even more that people are listening. Who smokes cigarettes anymore, asshole?
But all the kids are like, what is this word they're saying? Cigarette.
Exactly.
Does that mean vape? Yeah, is John?
But I had somebody tell me that like 20 years ago, we're at a dive bar and people are going out for a cigarette, and he didn't do, he laid it out to me like that because he said he's OCD and he'll just keep smoking. He knows that about himself. I go, wow, that's freaking interesting. So you could tie that bigger picture into alcohol and drugs. And you just said something really interesting, man. You said that you made the reference to the white powder, cocaine being used by alcoholics for only the sole purpose to wake the fuck up so they could drink more. All right. And
Yeah.
people that aren't around this, or, I'm no expert, but been around, like I said, I can see enough of most people that are doing cocaine are just doing it so they could continue staying out and drinking more. And, Adam, do you ever see in any of the, maybe, I don't know if you call them clients or mentees or anything,
Yeah.
people that make that move where, okay, now I'm just drinking for the excuse to go do cocaine, and eventually the cocaine just takes over and we're not even worried about drinking anymore?
Bro, 110%.
Okay.
But what's beautiful about that with my clients and whoever I'm working with is if I can get to that answer, we already have a degree of honesty that some people can never get.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You know what I mean? Look, there's the person that, I'm meeting and blah, blah, blah. And it doesn't matter how famous they are or how, whatever.
Yep.
It's I only have a couple. Okay.
Right.
A meeting, we have a couple of beers. Then there's the person, I only party when I drink.
Yep.
Uh-huh. Oh,
Yeah.
right. But when you can start getting to what you just said, that degree of honesty of like, look, I'm fucking,
Yeah.
the truth of it is I'm pouring myself a couple of scotches because I cannot wait to get the blow. At least we have a starting point.
Yeah.
At least we have a degree of honesty. At least we're not saying, oh, I'm being introduced to you because you only have a couple of Miller Lights.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Right.
If you only have a couple of Miller Lights, I'm not your fucking guy.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah.
Good point. And how do you get people referred over to you, Adam?
I would say majority of my clientele that I really, really love to work with, like, I mean, love to work with, is word of mouth because of what because they met somebody that I've worked with in the past. That Adam really walks the walk and helped me in my life.
Yeah.
And then, like you and I were discussing, there is that part of marketing and branding and social media that you're trying to help as many people as you can and attract a certain audience that you feel like you can be of service to.
Yeah.
So I would say majority of it is still word of mouth. Some of it's social media, marketing and branding. There are a few treatment centers that consider me like their guy.
Oh, cool.
Like their guy. But dude, I hear this word so much lately. I used to like it, and now I need to find something. I think I just may start saying help. I used to say, I truly want to just serve. And then I started hearing everybody say, I just want to serve. I was like, okay. All right. So now, Jesus, got it. So, got it. So, John, if there's somebody that's fucking broken and it's trapped as I was, and listen, the money's in the bank.
Yeah.
And the success is on. But they have such a tough time with honesty. They're not happy in their marriage. They love being a dad, yet they'd like to take away these certain fucking responsibilities. They wake up, or a mom, and they feel like every day is fucking Groundhog's Day. I mean, I don't care if it's an athlete, a celebrity, I don't care. But they feel that fucking, like, where though? Is this it?
Yep.
That's the feel. Is this?
Yep. Yeah.
So it's another million in the bank. It's another night out. It's another Ferrari. It's another, like, is this fucking it? I love working with those people.
Nice.
I love
nice
because I know that feeling.
Yeah.
I know that feeling that I've made everything on the outside look good.
Yep. Yeah.
I've made, why the fuck am I so miserable?
Yeah. Gosh. Yeah. Because it's running their life, right? All they're thinking about is that next drink the whole time, right?
Next drink, some form of relief, and that next dose of attention.
Hey, everybody, I want to invite you to check out 2000percentraised.com. Here you could buy the 2000% Raised book, also available on Amazon. You could check out 2000% Raised merchandise, as well as 2000% Raised special events that might be coming to your city soon. Last but not least, you can enroll in the 2000% Raised curriculum, which will help you on your entrepreneurial journey. Don't forget to follow at John Cerasani on Instagram and TikTok as well. Thank you for being a supporter of the show. Let's talk about the business side of this a little bit, because you just really touched on something there that I'm going through a little bit with just Instagram, DMs and everything else. And for me, all right, I have a coaching curriculum kind of thing, but anybody that like pays attention knows that I'm independently wealthy. So I don't really need to like sell you a class, but at the same time, I should monetize what I'm doing a little bit. And if you don't charge anything, people don't see value in it. And man, I'm probably the worst closer in the, history of internet marketers. People will reach out to me and I'll explain to them, hey, you'd actually be perfect for this curriculum I put together. It's $499. It includes a one-on-one call, blah, 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 blah. But at the same time, I'm like, don't worry though. My podcasts are free. The Instagram reels are free if you don't want to do it. And I'm able to balance that, Adam, though, because if the person can't afford the $499 and they're an entrepreneur type, they're probably not going to like take a lot from my class anyway. They're not really there yet. So I'm totally fine with just listen to my podcasts and reels. Don't worry about it. You know what I mean? Versus giving it to them for free. There's no sense in even doing that because they're not going to have the takeaways yet if they're not even in a position to have saved $500. Whereas it's not two totally different. We got two totally different things here, right? And I'll hear these stories. Look at the 9-paragraph DM about a person lost their job, their wife left them, and blah 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 blah. They want to get back on their feet. For me, I'll give them a little bit of advice and say something encouraging, but again, if they don't have the $500, they're probably not in a spot to do this anyway. For you, you're probably looking at this like, shit, this guy really needs my freaking help, and he doesn't have access to X dollars or whatever it is you charge. Do you find yourself in this conundrum there, Adam?
100%, bro. As a matter of fact, if there's one thing that I would want to do from this point on in the podcast, or anytime we get together, is I'd actually like to see the similarities in us and the difference. I actually think we're in the same boat. And I think your heart is so pure, right?
Yeah.
And you are independent that for you, it's not about the self yet. And it's not for me either.
Okay.
It's not. Yeah. However, you and I also both know that it takes some sort of gift of desperation that they're willing to, like, I can tell you your story.
Okay.
Isn't that cool?
Yeah.
From listening, our talks,
right.
from your, like, it took a set of balls to fucking go with that company and go, wait a second.
Yeah.
They're doing it. I can go do this on my own and fucking go tell that company how to save money and actually serve them better. Yeah. But you go back in your mind of when you did it, and maybe someone needs to hear, what was it like that day, that anxiety twitch of, I'm actually going to leave a 401. I have a child.
Yep.
Hold on.
Right.
I have a child.
Right.
I have responsibilities, but I know I can do this better. I mean, there was a degree of energy that came to you, but it's also, there has to be some form of anxiety because it's a risk. It's a major risk. And I think why I'm saying that is that, could you fucking imagine if someone goes, hey, dude, for $499, I will show you how to minimize the risk. You and I would be like, right, credit card.
Exactly.
So, and that's the conundrum you and I are in.
Yeah.
We can relive that pain of that risk I took.
It's the worst.
And understand the value that we want to give,
bro.
And yet they're feling sold because they found us on a social media app. It's a very delicate balance.
It sucks. Dude, I had a guy
it sucks.
I got medical device sales making $300,000 a year saying he wants to freaking get out. And it's like, I sent him the link to this thing that's $499. And it's like, well, I don't really want to do that. I go, okay, well then just DM me and I'll answer. Well, fuck, dude. I mean, like, it's fine, but it's like, I don't want to shove it down his throat either. I go, what I put together for this is exactly what you need to hear. Exactly. But the extra 4 seconds of me explaining that makes it not worth my fucking time. So just like, you're anyway,
and that's like, when it comes to, I need to be gentle about this, right? So God has a plan for everybody. And I do believe that you're going to find your destiny. I do believe that. However, if someone was attracted to you and someone was attracted to your message and they have this opportunity,
right?
And then they could just pay $500 to get access to that.
Right. Yeah.
There's some fucking fear going on in their head when they're making $300,000, something, there's a doubt in themselves.
Yeah.
It ain't gonna doubt and fucking jump.
Yeah.
There's a doubt in themselves. And, you and I just got to say, okay,
Yeah.
if not now, just wait till the pain is great enough.
Right. No, that's true. That's true. You nailed it. So how do you handle this though, man? So we see how I'm handling it. I mean, you're doing this to make a living, Adam. You know what I mean? I don't know your financial situation. You don't have a day job.
No, I'd be happy to share it.
Yeah.
No, I'd be happy to share it.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not John, but I'm going to eat.
Okay.
And my kids are going to,
Do you have a regular 9 to 5, or this is all you do?
No.
Yeah.
So I have a history is what I have.
Okay.
So I was it's actually part of my alcoholism addiction. But John, I was born and raised into a family business. I was third generation in the lace manufacturing business. Now, no fucking silver spoon. This was like, listen, this is who we are. This is what we do. There's no dreaming. There's no, what do you want to be when you grow up? We're Jablins. We do this and that, right. And I mean, I could give you a full story of us.
Did you say lace manufacturing?
Like women's intimate apparel, like Victoria's
Really?
Secret.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
And, we knew the families in New York, and I mean, it was a beautiful, but listen, I had to be the first one there, last one to leave,
Yep.
start as a janitor, then do inventory, then do quality control, then be a mechanic, then learn the warping department, then I had to do the shipping department, then I had to do design team, right? You had to learn,
Yep.
right? And the reason I'm sharing this
Yeah.
is that when we sold that business, it gave me enough that I will be able to.
Nice. And you were third generation, Adam?
I was third generation.
Yeah. And I'm just going to just a little gem for people. And I've come across this more now that I'm hanging out in California. I come across some like generational wealth types of families. And I'm not saying Adam is or isn't that, but
no, it's okay.
But by the time you get to that third generation, depending on how many aunts and uncles and cousins there are, you know what I mean? That they might not be in the same position as their grandparents. They might be okay.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Mhm.
So, John, my kids' expenses and certain things are covered.
Yeah.
But growing a business is not.
Yeah.
Right. And I also went through a divorce. And I think we both know that takes that people don't realize what that really cuts in half.
Right.
So what I'd like to say is, there's stability.
Yeah.
There's stability.
By the way, my divorce was before I started my company. She should have, I laugh with her. We're friends. We co-parent really well together. I'm like, you should have hung on for an extra year.
Just one extra year.
Exactly. Kind of fucked that up.
I love it. Thank God you guys have an amicable relationship.
Yeah, no, we co-parent. It's awesome.
Dude, I unfortunately do not. However, but what I do like to say is that, so I wasn't any of what I was able to make in the lace industry and put it towards it. I had to start from scratch.
Okay.
And what I really look up to and admire in you, and this is where I believe you're ahead of me, maybe you can coach me, is I was a fucking fantastic plug-in quarterback. It was built, John. I had to run the plays as good as my father and my grandfather. That was my fucking job.
Okay. Yep.
But I didn't build the walls. I didn't buy the machines.
Right.
Maybe over the years, I brought in a few new employees, but the yarn relationships that I had in the lace, the relationships were me. My top customers from Victoria's Secrets, Hanky Panky, Hanes, those relationships were already established. I just had to continue. Right? So I'll say this with humility. I can run a fucking multi-million-dollar operation like nobody's fucking business with my eyes closed. It was 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, no fucking holidays, either 2 12-hour shifts, 3 8-hour shifts, work top insurance. You fucking need me to run an industry? No fucking problem. However, you want me to build a business from scratch? I'm fucking a scared little boy. I don't know what my entrepreneurial journey where it's totally new.
Right.
It's totally fucking new.
Different.
And I do get fear, and I do get worried, and I do get anxiety, and I do wonder if I'm making the right decisions. But what I realized is this is what I always, John, this was my dream. I didn't want to start something on my own.
Yep.
I just don't think I knew how hard it.
Gosh, I mean, yeah, you know, you're dealing like it's everything we already talked about. Like, okay, you're gonna do it to actually make money too and support your living. It's like it is nice having that nest egg underneath you though, from whatever you got from that deal. That does make it a little bit simpler. And you know, Adam, you talk about what you just talked about. We are very similar in that regard. Okay, so instead of sitting on a beach and doing nothing, okay, let's try to impact this world. And I've talked about it myself, man. I know you don't think I know there's bigger issues out there like alcoholism, like homelessness, like kids starving all over the world. I can't make a dent in those causes. Okay. My story and my background, hey, I'll give money to those causes, but I'm not influencing the world with those causes. However, when you get to, hey, opening your eyes up to some of the pitfalls in corporate America and encouraging people to turn around and become entrepreneurs, shit, I can make a dent in that. People are going to listen. I got something to freaking say there. Okay. So I'm not,
So I have a question.
yeah, go ahead.
I got a challenge to you.
Yeah.
You believe that God thinks that that's any less of a problem than the stuff I deal with? Like, sincerely,
Mm,
if you believe in some sort of higher power, I'm not trying to push you in that
yeah.
way, but if you believe in some sort of higher entity, do you think it looks at the problems and goes, well, alcoholism and addiction is worse than people that can't figure out how to be an entrepreneur? Or do you think it goes, okay, wait, there's a problem and a solution. There's a problem and a solution. I don't think it's weighing it out. I think what you do is a tremendous, and I
Yeah.
actually think for what you do, if people don't find you, they may end up with me because
Good point.
it will eat their fucking stomachs out, John. It will eat their fucking stomachs out with anxiety
Yeah.
and worry and self-hatred
Mm.
and doubt. Why did I just take a risk with John? Go. Why didn't I just take a risk with John? Do. Why didn't I just try? Do. So I don't know. I think it's equal. I think what we're doing is we're providing a service.
Yeah, you know, and you just said something really interesting there because I've looked at it from the other perspective, or the exact same, the same end game, but another perspective. Okay, has a greater cause or a greater calling pushed me towards this? And I think the answer is yes, but I haven't looked at it that way. The way I've looked at it is, hey, man, we're here once. What impact are we going to make on this world? And I've lost both of my parents, and I've lost other people in my life too. And anyone that's lost anyone close to them, you know, it's the reminder how short life is. And guess what? The next day, the next week, the next month, everything keeps moving. That person ain't here anymore, though. All right. So it really makes you feel, or the epiphany I had at least was it really made me feel like, what is our relevance on earth, especially when my mom passed in 2014. I'm like, that came out of a clear blue freaking sky. I was only like 37, I think, at the time. And wait, was I? I don't want to pretend I'm older than I am. No, I must have been 37. And that freaking sucks, man. So you start looking at life a little bit different. And it reminded me of a conversation, Adam, I had with my mom back when I was like 30. My company was going up, man. My dad is a high school gym teacher. My mom was in a wheelchair. She had multiple sclerosis and she was a preschool teacher. But like, you know, hey, you make 200 grand one day or something like that, dude, you're rich from where we're from. And I got to tell you, that's a lot of fucking money. I still think that, but I was making like 800, 900 grand and it was going up from there. And I had this conversation with my mom about how it didn't all of a sudden fulfill me. It almost made me feel like, okay, now I got to do something with this. And I never really knew what that was. And then I started doing this shit with the podcast, started doing this shit with the social media. And like I said, man, these last couple of months, I start getting DMs from people. I start getting comments from people about how inspirational I am. I wasn't even trying to be inspirational. I was just kind of showing people. I mean, my delivery is kind of funny, or some people hate me, but it's not freaking made up. I'm just saying like what I think, and it's funny because I'm saying it like it's. I feel stupid even saying it sometimes because I feel like it's so known. It's because it's been in my head for 25 years. I'm like, all right, this is kind of a juvenile, elementary thing to say. And then other people are like, jaws dropping. Whoa, what a concept. It's changed the way I look at the world. I have no fucking idea because I'm sitting around here with this conversation in my head for the last 25 years thinking it's an old concept. I guess I don't say it out loud enough.
Bro, you're making me emotional because what if anything, take this, cut me out of it. I want you to go back to this time where it is in the recording. you actually just spoke about what your motive
Yeah.
was very clearly. You may think, oh, wait, it's limited time. No, no, no. You saw what your dad went through as a gym teacher,
Mhm.
mom with multiple sclerosis. Dude, there's something burning inside of you, and therefore I can understand the upsetness of like, dude, I made this for $500.
Mhm.
Do you understand what this could have done for my parents?
Mhm. Right.
You know what I mean? Like, I wrote it down.
Yeah.
I wrote it.
Yeah.
Gym,
Right.
gym teacher, MS,
Yeah.
meaning mom. Like, dude, you may have sometimes not touch on it,
Right.
but if you ever need to go, why the fuck am I like, listen, podcast, I don't feel well, Instagram posts. I'm like, I'm the same guy,
Right.
right? Like, oh, we're in this fucking weird world. But if you ever need to be reminded of what your motive was, you said it very
Mhm.
clearly.
Yeah.
You lived it. You saw what your parents did and
Yep.
you found a way out.
Yeah.
And bro, that's where you and I are the same guy together.
Yeah.
We're trying to show people the way out.
Yeah. Yeah.
If it's alcoholism and addiction, if it's financial concern, and there's more for you out there than having a gym teacher's
Mhm.
salary
Yep.
and taking care of family, an Italian family, while your wife has MS.
Right.
I mean, that was not some nights that his stomach was
Oh, and
being
my
beat
dad is
down.
very high profile file in our town too. He's the high school football coach, very well known in where we're from. So, it was public news. In a way, the coach's wife's in a wheelchair all of a sudden. Like, why is that? You know what I mean?
So,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
So your motive is, bro,
right.
that's what you ever want to know
Mhm.
when I'm talking to you 5 years from now, and the stage is huge, and you
Mhm.
get all 10 million people there, and I'm going to be backstage reminding you. Want to know why those people were affected,
Yep.
John? Because motive was pure.
So the biggest group I've talked to at this point in my life was 900 eighth graders. Adam has me in front of 10 million now. So let's see.
10 million.
Let's go. Let's go.
10 million.
I do want to say something too, right? So the impact that you could have in your own world, or what's, we talk about relevance, right? And, you know, it doesn't have to be, a few things fell into place nicely for me. Private equity got into insurance. If I was 10 years later or 10 years earlier, private equity probably wouldn't have paid what we paid. I know they wouldn't have. And I still would have done very well and everything else. But, I go back to my parents. All right. My dad had four sisters. My grandma and grandpa came over on the freaking boat through Ellis Island. All right. They're Armando Cerasani, Italian. Melrose or Forest. Where is he from? Forest Park, a little Franklin Park, one of those towns outside of Chicago. Italian immigrant. Marries an Irish immigrant, and my grandpa was a carpenter. My dad was supposed to be a carpenter, but my dad said, fuck this. He sees all his friends getting into trouble, all the people he went to high school with. He found a way to go to college. He goes to college. Only one in the family that did at that point. None of his sisters did either, and gets a job. He knew he wasn't that academically smart, gets a job as a freaking gym teacher, goes across coaching high school football. I got news for you. Illinois public schools, gym teachers get paid the same as the math teachers. All right. That's how it works. So, he did good for himself, and he grew, and then it put me in a position where he was able to give us this very middle class, upbringing. We were no longer a working family. And then now I did something with it. It gave me these opportunities. Now I did something with it. Right. And it's exciting. Okay. What are my kids going to do with it now? And it doesn't have to just be financial, man. It doesn't have to be financial. It could be like what you're doing, Adam. You're changing the world in a different freaking way. Your grandpa started this company that was super successful with clients like Victoria's Secret. I mean, it doesn't get much bigger than that for that industry. And now look what you're doing with it. So I think anyone could kind of just take a step back and look at where they're at. Okay, well, just because this is what I was born into. And by the way, it doesn't have to be a shit situation. You see that Wes Watson guy's always talking about being in jail and
Yeah.
being like all this.
Yeah.
You don't have to come from this shit. You know what I mean?
No.
It just,
No.
like I was a high school teacher as a dad. I leveled up this way, just like he leveled up with his dad that loved him too, was a carpenter. Let's go,
And I love John. I mean, I love that we're talking like this
Mhm.
because we were talking about, these people will make comments of fucking testosterone and cocaine.
Yep.
Like where your real humor and passion comes from is what you experience. And actually, I'm really grateful we didn't touch on this before. Like I got to really this is, if people listen or not, I don't give a shit. We got to actually know one another
Right.
today. Like,
I like it.
I know you're a good man, John. That's what I'm trying to fucking express
Thanks, man.
without fucking tears.
I appreciate it.
You're a man. Like that, thank you for sharing that with me,
Yeah.
because I've never seen any reel or any comment about dad and mom. I don't.
Yeah.
And this, like, dude, that's your mission. You're saving your dad, you're saving your mom, you're saving the next generation of that.
Right.
And,
Ooh, I like that.
and fucking God bless you.
Yeah.
And God bless you. You know, and if you ever need to put emotional content in there, like every 4th and 6th reel, you go back that. I want you to go home to that. And then plus Invincible.
Let's go.
You know what I mean?
Well,
that, like, got very emotional hearing about your mom passing.
so
This was very powerful.
Adam's referring to the testosterone and cocaine. So the hater comments, that's the big one that did we say this earlier or did we say it off camera?
Oh, yeah, you said it earlier.
Did I say it earlier on the show? Okay. I don't know if it was off camera. Okay, good. I get mixed up a little bit. That's freaking funny though.
Yeah.
That's what here's I fuck with people now. Like when people DM me, bro, like they'll ask you, go do some more coke. They'll be like, coke's a hell of a drug or something like that. And then, and then they'll ask me, sometimes people will ask me, do you do cocaine? And just to fuck with them, I'll be like,
yeah,
no. Why? Do you have some?
You buy it?
Exactly. Whatever.
You buy it?
Oh, shit.
Scary.
Well, listen, man, I got to get into some stuff here, brother. You got a lot to offer. First of all, Adam,
John, you're going to kill me? Yeah. Is there going to do a part that my son is asking me right? I'm supposed to train with him in 30 minutes.
Oh, fuck. Sorry. Okay, listen. This was good.
Is that okay? Is that okay?
Yeah, it's fine. But listen, guys. Adam turned the damn interview and I think he interviewed me. We're going to leave this episode exactly how it is, Adam.
Absolutely.
I love it. And we will come back. But let me just throw out a couple of things really quick. Adam has a new book with Dion DiMucci out right now. Conversations with Dion by Adam Jablin on Dion DiMucci.
Coming out this year.
Okay. AdamJablin.com. A lot of shit. He's a great speaker. He's having his first mastermind event. We'll see how that goes. This is going to air afterward. So hopefully retrospectively, I'm congratulating you right now. Adam, if you're listening, good job on your event 2 weeks ago, buddy. Hopefully it went good.
Thanks, Ron.
And Adam, we end every show with this, brother. Please recommend a movie to the 2000% Raised audience.
Oh, wow. Dude, I don't know why this movie has been in my head lately. It's a weird one that I'm about to suggest. Are you ready?
Yep, let's hear it.
I don't even think it's my top 5, but it's been in my head. So maybe it's just time to share it.
Let's hear it.
Days of Thunder with Tom Cruise.
Okay.
You know, it's Top Gun, and I know it's not A Few Good Men, and I know it's not Scarface, I know it's not Godfather, and I know it's not any Marvel movie. But what's been happening, it's kind of what happened with us today was this playing in my head where Tom Cruise is this phenomenal race car driver. But the truth of it is that he just got in the car and knew how to drive. He just fucking, and there's this thing with him, this scene with him and Robert Duvall, and they're attacking each other. And Robert Duvall's like, why can't you just fucking tell me what's going on with the car? So I in some races, and finally Tom Cruise coughs up because I'm an idiot. Because I don't know. They told me to get in the car. I drove and I just learned to drive. He goes, and that honesty, what happens, he goes, finally, Robert Duvall starts like melting a little bit, this tough. He goes, well, let's teach you. And they go, right. And they go in the car and he starts learning a language together. Yep. Because he doesn't know anything about fucking cars. He just knows how to drive them and win. Yeah. And he said, he makes something loose. He goes, see, your back end's loose, but the car is free. They start finding a language and they start winning races. And there's something about that scene that I think that you and I do, be it with finances, is that we make people understand and once you can find that connection, you can win.
Awesome. Yep.
You can win.
I love it.
I cannot believe out of all the fucking movies I'm bringing up is Days of Thunder.
There we go.
But something about that scene that's just been hit over and over. And so for anybody, check it out. Yep. You know, it's a beautiful story about two fucking guys learning how to speak to one another, winning races. You know, you think it's your ego, you think it's the car. That he starts learning tires wins cars, not the body, not the rock. It makes you think on a whole different level. And just to fucking say it though, because I'm fucking now yapping. If you haven't seen Air, Go and see.
Air's a good one. Air's a good one.
Air's a good one.
So there you go. If you want to learn about winners, go watch Days of Thunder and Air, and revert back to Leaving Las Vegas if you want to go the opposite direction. All right. Thanks, Adam. And that wraps up another episode of 2000% Raise. Thank you for listening. The best way to support our show is by leaving a rating or review on all platforms you listened on. And of course, by following, liking, or subscribing. Visit us at 2000percentraise.com or at John Cerasani on TikTok and Instagram. And of course, my YouTube channel at John Cerasani's 2000% Raise. Find all the ways to follow today's guests in our show notes. Thank you for being a part of our entrepreneurial journey.